Welcome to Reading with Eve, and let's get on with the bookish video. Today I'm showing you a bunch of mixed media / found footage recommendations. I have thrillers, horror, I even have one dystopian fantasy in there somewhere, because we love some variety. It's just something I really enjoy in books, to have some kind of like a transcript or a podcast or letters or just anything really that breaks away from the normal narrative, breaks away from the norm. I really enjoy, and it's just something that entertains me as a reader. And I do actually aspire one day to write something that is purely found footage / mixed media, whatever, but that is going to be a journey, and that is going to be hard, so maybe 20 years later or something. But anyway, let's go into the books themselves. I have this in my living room, and I couldn't be bothered to actually dig it out of like whatever pile it's under, but obviously House of Leaves is like the, I don't know, epitome, the magnum opus of found footage, and people either love it or hate it, but one thing's for sure, people definitely know about it. It's kind of hard to describe, so I'll just be very simple. A family moves into the house. There are things wrong in the house. And the whole thing is told by this dude who just really has nothing to do with the story, as far as I'm concerned. And he's just making it about himself when there's no point. Like, I don't really like that guy. I'm still reading it, but that book is such an exercise. Like, I said on Meg's Discord that that book will either give me dementia or it will wave it away because of how, like, mind-boggling it is to try to grasp. So, it's definitely not a read for everyone, but it is probably as found footage as one can think of, so I couldn't not mention it. But I don't know how I'll feel about it once I finally finish in like 12 years. And the next one I have is Night Film by Marissa Pessl. And this one is, as you can see, it's a chunk. Like, it is a big one. So be prepared. I don't know, it took me, well, not that long, but it still took me longer than normal to read it. So this one is about this journalist who gets defamed by this famous horror movie director, and he loses everything. But then this director's daughter is found dead, and this journalist decides, you know what, I'll investigate what happened, because I think that her father had something to do with this, and something's just not right there. This director, the father of this woman, he's like made some really sort of underground cult horror films that are too extreme to be shown to like any general public sort of thing. So he has like a very big cult following. So yeah, this journalist, he involuntarily recruits a couple of people to sort of help him with this investigation, and then madness ensues, literally. It's mixed opinions about this book overall, but as far as the mixed media aspect goes, like, it definitely meets those expectations. As you can see, there's like this sort of stuff here. I cannot figure out the right angle, but it has like all sorts of bits where, trying to show you another example, but it has like website bits, it has like transcripts of like hospitals and these investigations and all that. So it definitely meets the criteria. I would say definitely more in the first half, because like by the time you get to the second half, the mixed media aspect drops off a little bit, but there's still some there. So yeah, just be aware. Like I said, it is thick, and I'm not sure that the length was necessarily worth it, because it's nearly 600 pages. Like, I don't think it needed to be that long. So yeah, be aware of that, but it was interesting. And then I have Rules for Vanishing by Kate Alice Marshall, and this is a YA horror. It's about a group of teens who go on this kind of adventure, you should say, to play this game in honor of their missing friend. But the game is like, if you say the right things and go into this road, you will kind of walk into this alternative world, and people go missing that way. That's how they think their friend went missing and whatnot. Yeah, I'm probably not explaining it very well, but I don't remember the exact details without looking at the synopsis, and I don't want to recite the synopsis. So, yeah, basically, the story is told as it's already happened sort of way, because there is some, I think it's like police interviews. Yeah, you have some police interviews here. You have what else do you have? Yeah, that's essentially written testimony. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but it says written testimony, and basically, after it's already happened, the survivors tell the story of what the hell happened to them. And from what I remember, it's definitely like sort of horror with a bit, even a bit of like a fantasy element. Like, it gets a bit weird, but like in a way where I kind of struggled to understand what the point of some things was. I don't know how I rated this, because it was like way before I was strictly rating to give you the stats. But I think it was like 3.5, maybe a 4, something like that. So you get next, we have Sadie by Courtney Summers, one of my all-time favorite thrillers. It's definitely still in the top 10. Technically it's YA, but it does not read like YA. It's really dark, really gritty. We follow our titular character Sadie, who is on a vengeance mission. She wants to hunt down the man who killed her sister, who was also their stepfather, and there's a lot of unpacked baggage there. So she is on that mission, but we also follow this guy, Wes McCrae, who is doing a podcast, like a true crime podcast, and he gets tasked to look into this because her sister was murdered and she went missing. So we kind of like follow, Sadie's always one step ahead, and we're waiting for McCrae to catch up, because like he starts sort of like trailing her, trying to, you know, connect the dots, and he just never quite gets there at the right time, and it gets to the point where you're like, oh my god, can you just hurry up? This girl needs your help. She needs proper support. This is dark, this is gritty, as I already said, but it stands repeating. But yeah, as you can see, this is like the mixed media comes in podcast episodes. Don't know if you can see that, but yeah, you have like this sort of thing, the dialogue and whatnot. I just feel, I don't know why I'm doing this with every book, but I just feel like to show you how the mixed media looks like, so you can make the decision whether it's for you or not. I know some people really don't like when there's any mixed media in their books, but yeah, this one is definitely not for the faint-hearted, because it's bleak. I would say as far as thrillers go, it's one of the bleakest ones I actually read, and it's just really poignant, and there's a lot of commentary about just the nature of true crime and sensationalism as well. So yeah, absolutely would recommend it. And then I have a book that is Meg's book club pick for October, and I think I was the only one who gave it a somewhat decent rating, because everyone absolutely despised it or didn't even finish it. But it fits this video, and I thought it was okay. Like, if that's your thing, that's fine. And that is Dead 11 by Jimmy Giuliano. So we follow this guy who goes on this island to find his missing sister. I feel like that's where the story starts, and that's fitting. And his sister went missing in the island because she went there to look for some answers as to why this island's name was on her son's, like, deceased son's floor. But yeah, it's definitely mixed media in the sense that it has, as you can see, it has interview, like, excerpts. It has, what else does it have? It has text messages. Like, look at that. So yeah, it definitely has those aspects, and also there's some letters as well. But I was gonna say, you get the point. There's also letters, like, there's mixture of mixed media. I would say, before you are tempted to pick this up, considering the amount of people in Meg's book club didn't like it, something that you should be aware of is that it is advertised as an adult horror, but it's not really. I don't think anyone would say that, and I don't know why it was marketed as such, because I would say that this is actually like a YA investigative suspense. And I know that calling it YA when a lot of the characters are adults might not be true, but trust me, with the writing style and all that, and considering that like the main character, who we follow like to see if she makes it out of the situation okay, is like a teenager, young adult, I think it's fitting. So yeah, I think that if this was marketed correctly, it would have definitely been something better received, because it would have found the right audience for it. Because I mean, I'm definitely not as harsh as a lot of people that who didn't like it. I think that this book I've read a lot worse. But yeah, I will talk about it in my wrap up for October, as to what I ranked it and why. But yeah, I would say be aware that this is definitely YA reading adjacent sort of thing, and go in with that knowledge and you might enjoy it. Then I have The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead, and this follows Shay, who discovers that her old university friend committed suicide. However, she doesn't believe that it was that, and she thinks that this cult that they were a part of when they were students themselves had something to do with it. So she recruits this old childhood friend of hers who has a true crime podcast to help her figure out what is going to get some answers. This is definitely, along with Sadie, I would say this is definitely like one of the darker books on this list, if not the darkest. It has a lot of upsetting, complicated themes that might not be, like, a lot of readers might not be able to stomach them very easy. As far as where the mixed media aspect comes in, as you can see, we have like a podcast element, and I think it's actually, this and Sadie, it's some of my favorite usage of podcast elements in fiction, because it actually serves as an interesting way to relay background information, because Shay tells her friend on the podcast what happened to her as a student and the beginnings of her involvement in this cult and whatnot. So yeah, if you can stomach this book, I would definitely recommend it. Then I have Penance by Eliza Clark. Again, a book that's a bit divisive, but it was a buddy read, and I read Boy Parts by this author, and I've spoken about both of these books in my September wrap-up in like more detail what I thought about the books themselves. But as far as where the mixed media aspect comes from, so this is formatted as a non-fiction true crime book containing interviews and like excerpts from like victims' family and the perpetrator family, like their diary excerpts and whatnot as well. It's kind of more difficult to show, but yeah, so there's like, this is meant to be like, I cannot figure out the right angle, but so yeah, this is meant to be like the diary excerpt here, and in the page before it, there's like a bit of podcast going on. So yeah, there's a little bit of everything here. Little bit of sort of like investigative journalism as well, and there's also some kind of like textbooky feeling chapters of like the town's history, which really puts some people off. I mean, I'm not naming anyone, but they really didn't like it. And that's okay. It's not for everyone, I think. Yeah, if you're into that sort of stuff, then I do think this is a worthy read, because it explores a lot of themes that I touched up on in previous. Then I have a bit of a double feature. I'm only gonna hold up one because the story that I have in the edition for the other one is like such a chunky book that it hurts my hands to hold it up. But it is The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson, which is a retelling of Stephen King's Carrie. And technically, they both count as mixed media, because, I mean, everyone knows what Carrie is about. A bullied girl pushed too far. And The Weight of Blood, we have Maddie, who is white passing, but she is biracial, living in a super time capsuled, like, racist little town where they have segregated proms and stuff. And due to an unfortunate incident, everyone finds out that she's biracial, and her abusive father is like very unhappy about that. And again, she gets bullied, and poof, Boom, boom, boom. So where the mixed media comes in, so just like with Carrie, so I'm trying to find, again, like a way to show you. Oh, there you go. So you have like a bit of an episode here. And then you also have some like newspaper clippings or something. You have like a little bit of like what's shown to be like textbooks and whatnot, like excerpts here. So both Carrie and The Weight of Blood, they meet that criteria, as in the story is told after it's happened, kind of, and there's like people who are survived the tragedy, they're interviewed, and we find out, you know, how it got to that point, sort of thing. So yeah, definitely that epistolary vibe here as well. But I would also recommend this one because it's so hard-hitting and so effective. Both Carrie and The Weight of Blood. I mean, without Carrie, there wouldn't be The Weight of Blood. But yeah, a lot of people actually prefer this one with the way that it's written because we know how Stephen King's writing can be, but I would also recommend to check out the OG, or at the very least watch the 1976 movie, because that is very cathartic. My second to last recommendation, I have episode 13 by Craig DeLuey, and this is, again, a mixed media, but this is like very mixed. You have emails, you have like video camera footage and whatnot, because this is like a reality TV crew. They go on this journey to an abandoned house to basically it's their last chance to like film some kind of like a good episode that changes the gears of their show before it gets canceled. And they're in luck because they do find some solid evidence of supernatural, but it gets really weird. And it's something that I should mention. This book steers a bit into cosmic horror scenario, especially in the second half. That's why 5 stars when I read it. But overall, I still really enjoyed it. And let me just find you an example. Oh, there you go. You have some like text message bubbles. You have like experiments, like transcripts of experiments. What else do you have? You have like this looks like a normal text, but it's like a journal entry as well. Like a lot of this book is told in found footage sort of thing. I would say that it is actually probably the closest to what I said so far, that I want to read or write a book that's like purely found footage, and this is probably like one of the closest ones that I can think of that is possible. But yeah, there's like blog posts as well, but like obviously diary entries and blog posts, they look like normal text, but yeah, there's also like text messages and like transcripts and whatnot as well. So yeah, if you don't mind getting a little bit of cosmic and weird, I would definitely recommend. And lastly, I have my Outlier fantasy dystopian recommendation, but to be fair, I found it pretty horrifying, so I'm still gonna count it, and that is The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg. And this follows this like Disneyland adjacent fairy tale amusement park where you have these princesses who are essentially, well, they're a certain kind of slave, just super glorified. And then where the mixed media aspect comes in is the whole point that one of these like princesses and whatnot is on trial for murdering her customer. So yeah, as you can see, you have a post-trial interview. You have like even a little bit of like a camera transcript as well. So yeah, as you can see, very, like, it sort of like follows that storyline. I'm seeing if there's anything different I can show you, but yeah, it's mainly like transcripts and all that, like leading up to the trial. And there is a lot of kind of like actually reminds me of Detroit Become Human, if you are aware of the video game, because they're punished for like experiencing human emotions. They're punished for acting any other way than what their customers want, sort of thing. Like I said, they are slaves of sexual nature. Basically, that's what they're there for. Apart from like their outdoor duties or whatever. So yeah, it has a lot of commentary as well about how horrible some humans can be, which is again very ironic. And I do love the cover. I think that it is very telling about what vibe this book is going towards. So yeah, if sort of like dystopian fantasy-esque horror Jason is your thing, then I definitely recommend. And that is it. If you read any of these, please share what you thought. If you have any more to recommend to me, please do throw all of the recommendations down below, because I'm always looking forward to reading more of this sort of book. Like I said, I love that. It's so fun to me. So yeah, maybe if you like this video, maybe click that thumbs up button, subscribe, and I hope to see you next time.